Okay, this is the second part of the literal equations notes, and we're going to review some things about graphing lines, and we're also going to talk a little bit about using the graphing calculator. First thing I want to point out is on this second example right here, there is a typo. It should be x plus 3y equals -9. That extra x should not be there. So either rewrite the equation like this or cross out the x, but it should be x plus 3y equals -9. So let's go back and let's start over here. We're going to graph that equation, but first we're going to solve it for y. So reminder, to solve this for y, I need to move the 4x. So I'm going to subtract a 4x from both sides. And I'm going to have negative y equals. Now I can't put the 1 and the negative 4x together because they're not alike. One of the terms has an x, one of them doesn't. So I leave them separate. Now, to solve for y, I need to remove the -1 that's in front of it. So I can either divide both sides by -1, or I can multiply by -1, because that will do the same thing. So I think I'm going to divide both sides by -1. And little fun fact, because there's a plus sign right here, because of this plus sign right there, I can actually divide each piece of the fraction, or each piece of the denominator, each piece of the numerator. Well, let me rewind. So I can actually rewrite it this way. This is what I'm trying to say. So I can rewrite it like that. So what I end up having is y equals 4x, because negative divided by negative turns into a positive, minus 1. So, or I could have multiplied both sides of the equation by -1 and gotten the same thing. The negative has to distribute to both the negative 4x and the positive 1. Okay, so we're going to graph that on the calculator, and then we're going to review or talk about how it actually graphs just with y equals mx plus b. Because I want you, whoops, I'm going to graph it on the calculator first. So here's how we do this. We're going to push the y equals. Notice it shows up in red when I push it. So I push the y equals button. I'm going to type in my equation, and don't worry about the subscripts. The little subscript of 1, y1, y2, that just means I can graph more than one equation on the screen at the same time. So for y1, I'm going to type in 4x, so 4, and then to get an x to come up, I push the x t theta n button. It's right next to the green alpha key. It's in red right now. So look where it is. And then I'm going to do subtract 1. So there's my y equals 4x minus 1. And then I'm going to push the graph button, which is right at the top, right underneath the calculator's screen. It graphed a line. And if I trace that line, I can see, oh, look, the point 0, -1. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my notes. My y-intercept is -1. Remember, this is your y-intercept. This is y equals mx plus b. And the b is the y-intercept. And the m, the slope, is 4, but I could look at that as being 4 over 1. So think about slope as being like GPS. We start at our y-intercept and we go up 4. Slope 4 over 1 means up 4, right 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. I could also go down 4 and to the left by 1. But there's the line that our calculator showed us. Looks just like that. Okay? You might want to check with your teacher. I know in my class we were running a little short on time, so we didn't do all of the examples. We did the next one, we skipped the third one, and we did the fourth one. And then we didn't do the last two. So depending on your teacher, you may not need to do all of them. Okay? So again, it's x plus 3y equals -9. That's the equation we're working with. So fix that little typo. And then we're going to solve that for y. So we're going to subtract an x from both sides. So I have 3y equals. I can't put the -9 and the negative x together because they are not alike. I'm going to divide by 3. Oops, that didn't work very well. Divide both sides by 3. I might as well just split it apart right away because I'm going to do that anyway. So what I have is -1/3 x, and then minus 3 because -9 divided by 3 is -3. But notice the negative 1/3. It is negative, and I'm dividing by 3. There's the 1/3. So it should be a line again, and my y-intercept should be negative 3. Let's do it this way first, and then we'll have the calculator graph it. So there's my y-intercept at negative 3. And then a slope of negative 1/3, I can go down 1, and right 3. Or that's the same as if I go up 1 and left 3. I will stay on the same line. It's not the same point, but it stays on the same line. So what we're looking for is a line that goes down from left to right. Now let's type that in our calculator and see if that actually works. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. I'm going to push my y equals button. I'm going to clear that out. I'm going to push my y equals button. I want to clear out the function or the equation that I was graphing. So I'll just push clear. And I'm going to type in a new one. So I'm going to put parentheses around the negative 1/3. So negative 1/3 times x, and then subtract 3. There's my equation. I'm going to graph it. Look, it's just like what we thought. Goes through the y-axis at negative 3. There's 1, 2, 3. And it's going down from left to right. Okay? Down 1, right 3. And we get the line. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my notes, and I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to extend the page a little bit. I'm going to solve this for y. So I'm going to subtract a 3x. Notice how I'm keeping the x in front so that I have it in the form y equals mx plus b. So negative 2y equals negative 3x. Oops, that's minus 10. We'll divide both sides by negative 2. So we have y equals, negative divided by negative is a positive 3/2 with my x, and then negative divided by negative is a positive 5. So we will have a y-intercept at 5, slope of 3/2. I don't have room to go up 3. So what I'll do instead is go down 3, but then I have to go to the left by 2. There's my negative 3 over negative 2, which is the same as 3 over 2. So down 3, left 2, and then draw the line. And if you want to type it into the calculator, we could do the following. Let me show you another idea. So I'm going to do y equals. I'm going to clear that one. 3/2 is the same as 1.5. So I can actually type in a 1.5. It's exactly 1.5. Then the x, and then the plus 5. Type in your equation. Graph your line. I'm going to go ahead and graph that. There it is. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, y-intercept at 5. Looks like a little bit like, quite a bit like the line that we were graphing, right? Yep. It's a little different because it's on the calculator screen, but that is what we graphed. Okay, next one. I'll clear this one out in preparation for the next one. All right, so y equals negative 2. Oh, I don't remember what that looks like, so let me go down and graph it on the calculator. Y equals negative 2. So push my y equals, clear that, enter the negative 2, and graph. Go up and graph. Oh, it's a horizontal line. Look, it's a flat line. It's a horizontal line. We're following a horizontal line. It's negative 1, negative 2. Yep, y equals negative 2 is a horizontal line. Let's talk about why that is. If you go down here, here's the y-axis. If you go down on the y-axis, it's the negative 2. See, that this point also has a y value of negative 2. So does that one. And so does that one. So we get a whole line of points where y is negative 2. It's a horizontal line. Okay, like I said, depending on your teacher, maybe they didn't do the last ones. I didn't. So if you were in my class, you can skip the next ones. If your teacher wants you to go through them, we'll go through them. To solve for y, I need to move all these other things. So I'm going to subtract an x squared, add a 2x, and add a 3. That removes everybody from the left except the y, and I have y equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 3. And then I'm going to go to my calculator. And I'm going to type that in because I don't know what that looks like. So I'm going to clear what's there. I'm going to type in negative x to the second power. Watch how we can do a square. Okay. Plus 2x plus 3. And then I'm going to push graph. And we get a U shape. And that U shape is, look at that. It's upside down. It's upside down U shape. That's because of the negative 1 in front of the x squared. Okay. I'm going to go back. I'm going to graph this a little bit here. It kind of looks like this. We're just going to do a rough sketch because I just want you to get used to seeing what that looks like. It's that upside down U shape. I'll give you a heads up that the reason it's opening down or the reason it's upside down is because of the negative 1 in front of the x squared. Let's do this one. So to get the y by itself, to solve for y, I need to subtract or add a 2x squared to zero that out and subtract a 12x. Do the same thing on the other side of the equal sign. So what we have is 4y equals 2x squared minus 12x. We'll divide both sides by 4, just like we were doing before. When I have two terms over here, I can divide each of them individually by the 4. So y equals 1/2 x squared minus 3x. So I'm going to real quickly go over and graph that. I'm going to push my y equals and clear out what was there. 1/2 is the same as a 0.5. So just to make it easier, I'm just going to enter the 0.5. There's my x. There's my square. And then I'm going to do a minus 3x. And I'm going to sketch that graph by just pushing the graph button on the calculator. Oh, there's that U shape again, but now it's going up rather than down. And that's because the number in front of the x squared is a positive 1/2, a positive 0.5. So I'm going to just really quickly do a little sketch here. We're not going to be super accurate with this. Later on, we'll get more accurate, but it's a U shape that goes up. And that is the end of our video for this one. Oh, one other thing. Notice the first 4 were lines, but as soon as we start getting an x squared, it's the U shape. And that's going to be one of the things we study a lot this year is this shape. It's called a parabola. So welcome to the parabolas. We'll see you again soon.